So guys, hello, welcome back. So today's lesson, we are focusing on the last domestic policy that Andrew Jackson was involved in that we are going to talk about. And it concerns Indian removal. So we've all heard the stories from past history classes about the Indian Removal Act. So that is what we are going to break down in this lesson, but we are also going to break down other parts of the Indian relations. Come in. So, so let's start this discussion. First off, first part, this video is gonna be all about Native Americans and the new republic. So, what is going on? So, from the time the first colonies were settled in America, relations between the Native American Indians and white settlers ranged from respected friends to hated enemies. Into the 1800s, Americans who were still in competition with the Indians for land and resources considered themselves to be uncivilized and barbaric. But many Americans admired the Indians and valued their contributions to American history and culture. These people hoped that with time the Indians could be peaceable assimilated into American society. Even before the Revolution, churches and religious organizations set missionaries among the Indians to try to convert them to Christianity. So this trend happened and was still happening even to that day. So was the trend that Native Americans assemble to Christianity. And what word did I just use? The A word. The A word. What A word did I just use? Symbol. Symbol. So I know I spelled it wrong, but it's basically means convert. I know I spelled that right. Convert them to Christianity. Convert them to American society. Convert them to our way of life. In 1787, the Society for Propagating the Gospel Among the Indians was was founded for that purpose. The federal government joined the effort to civilize, so that's the other goal, to civilize the Native Americans. Civilize Native. civilized. So, okay, that had first been undertaken by the colonies and the churches. In 1793, Congress designated $20,000 to provide literacy, farming, and vocational assistance to Native Americans. The United States recognized Indian tribes as separate nations of people entitled to their own lands that could only be attained from them through treaties. Due to the inexplorable pressures of expansion, settlement, and commerce, however, treaties made with good intentions were often perceived as unsustainable within just a few years. The Indians felt betrayed and frequently reacted with violence when land promised to them forever was taken away. For the most part, however, they directed their energies towards maintaining their tribal identity while living in the new order. So they were still holding firm to their cultural identities, even though things are kind of messed up. By 1830, most of the territories east of the Mississippi River had become states. The Democratic Party, led by President Andrew Jackson, was committed to economic progress in the states and to settlement and development of the western frontier. These goals put the government in conflict with more than 125,000 Native Americans. So Andrew Jackson is in conflict with his goals to expand the country into the West, because this is colliding with this term manifest destiny. And that's the term again that we are bringing up again, manifest destiny. These relationships with the Indians are colliding with manifest destiny, with expanding to the West. So what are we gonna do? The Treaty of 1791 recognized the Cherokees' right to a substantial portion of northeastern Georgia. The Cherokees were very successful at adapting to a new way of life, farming the land, raising cattle, growing cotton, and even owning slaves to work their plantation. Missionaries established schools and helped the Cherokees in their new lives. One Cherokee, I'm not even gonna pronounce it, devised a Cherokee syllabic alphabet of 85 characters so that his people could write down and preserve their thoughts. With a written language, the Cherokee were able to publish their own newspaper, the Cherokee Phoenix. The Cherokees established their own governing board called the Cherokee National Council. In 1808, the Cherokee National Council developed a legal system, and in 1827, wrote a constitution enacting a system of tribal government to regulate affairs within the borders of their land. Their government included an electoral system and a legislature, judicial, and executive branch. One tenet of the Constitution was that on their own lands, the Cherokee were not subject to the laws of Georgia. Treaties with the U.S. government recognized the Cherokee Nation, but the state of Georgia objected to having an independent Indian tribe within its borders. Believing that the laws of Georgia should be sovereign throughout their state, Georgians passed legislation claiming jurisdiction over Cherokee land. So federal government made a treaty authorizing and allowing Cherokee territory, recognizing them as an independent nation. But what happens? The state of Georgia said, no, we don't want that to happen. The Cherokee Nation is in our border, so they should be Georgians. These political actions coincided with increasing economic pressure to open this area to white settlement and development. The Cherokee land was converted for agricultural productions at a time when the population of the state was increasing and demand for farmland was high. In addition, gold was discovered in the region, and many whites were eager to mine for it. So, what is the federal government gonna do? Well, you have some inclination because the topic of the next lesson part, sub-lesson, is the Indian Removal Act. Dot, dot, dot. See you guys in the next lesson.